Welcome to ILTV's Israel Daily. I'm Darga Velazian, coming up in today's newscast. Israeli security forces apprehend the two Palestinian terrorists who murdered 3 people with an axe and a knife in Elad during Israel's Independence Day celebrations. Hamas threatens an unprecedented response if Israel resumes its targeted killing policy against the terror group's leaders. And ILTV sits down with Israel's new special envoy for combating antisemitism and delegitimization, Noa Tishby. After 4 days on the run, Israeli security forces apprehended the 2 Palestinian terrorists who murdered 3 people and injured several others in the midst of celebrations for Israel's Independence Day. Safni San with the report.
Israeli security forces apprehended the 2 Palestinian terrorists who murdered 3 people with axes and knives in a brutal terror attack in Elad Thursday night. On the 4th day of the manhunt, the 2 terrorists were caught hiding out in a forested area within Israel near Rosh Hashanah.
مين انت؟ من حضرتك؟
سعد الرفاعي.
اسمك الكامل، اسم ابوك؟
سعد يوسف اسد الرفاعي.
وساكن وين؟
رماني.
وشو سويت هنا؟
عملية.
عن ايه عملية؟
عملية بالعاد.
شو صار بالعملية؟
بعرفش شو صار بالضبط.
شو صار بالعملية؟
ضربنا ناس.
ضربتوا ناس.
Security forces identified the 2 suspects as 19-year-old Asad al-Rifai and 20-year-old Subhi Abu Shakir, both residents of the village of Romana near the Jenin area in the West Bank. Over the weekend, security forces expanded their search from the Elad area along the seam zone, just east of the Green Line and west of Israel's separation barrier, in Arab-Israeli towns, and near the Rosh Hashanah area, operating under the assumption that the terrorists were still within Israel and still had the potential to carry out another attack. Police use all means at their disposal in the manhunt, including advanced technologies, choppers and drones, tracker dogs, and intelligence gathering. Prime Minister Naftali Bennett praised security forces at the start of the weekly cabinet meeting today, saying, "We promised we will lay our hands on them, and so we did." Bennett added that their capture isn't enough, and that Israel was on the verge of a new level in the war against terror that won't allow for incitement from afar without consequences. Meanwhile, the 3 victims of the attack were laid to rest over the weekend: 44-year-old Yonatan Chabkuk, 40-year-old Boaz Gol, and 35-year-old Oren Ben Iftach, leaving behind 16 children who are now orphans.
In related news, Palestinian terrorist groups have threatened to launch suicide terrorist attacks against Israeli cities if the Israeli government resumes its policy of targeted killings against senior terrorist figures. This, according to the Hezbollah-affiliated Mayadeen television station. According to the report, Palestinian terror group Hamas threatened an unprecedented response that would amount to a regional earthquake should Israel attempt to harm its leaders. These threats were made following a growing discourse on whether Israel would assassinate Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar in response to the brutal terror attack in the city of Elad on Thursday, which left 3 people dead and several others injured. Though Hamas did not directly claim responsibility for the terrorist attack, just days prior to the attack, Sinwar gave a speech in which he urged Palestinians to attack Israel with whatever means they had at their disposal.
في النقب، في المثلث، في الجليل، في حيفا ويافا وعكا واللد، ليجهز كل واحد عنده بندقيته، ومن ليس عنده بندقية فليجهز ساطوره أو يجهز بلطه أو سكينه.
And joining us now with more on the security situation in Israel is founder and CEO of Israel's Defense and Security Forum, Brigadier General in IDF Reserves, Amir Avivi. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So, first of all, regarding the capture of the 2 terrorists, security forces working day and night over the weekend, but why did it take so long to apprehend them?
Well, I think even prior to that, the question is, why do we have so many attacks without any previous alert from the Shin Bet, the Shabak? it seems like in the late attacks we have some gaps in our ability to cover intelligence in.
To watch full episodes of ILTV's Israel Daily and tons of other content from Israel, visit our website at iltv.tv or download the ILTV Plus app.